On today's show, we explore what one of my favourite performers of all time, psychological illusionist Derren Brown, can teach us about luck, limiting beliefs, opportunity, gratitude, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. So grab your popcorn, get comfy, and prepare to question everything you think you know about luck, belief, and human potential, because it's time to Movify your life by changing the story you're telling yourself. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show, the plot twist you've been waiting for. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and through the Movify Your Life method, I'll show you how to step into the starring role of your story and create a life worth watching. Every Movify Monday, you'll learn how to turn everyday moments into unforgettable memories, activate your main character energy, and use cinematic tools to boldly chase your biggest dreams, like the movie star you truly are. Because when the credits roll, I want you to look back at your life like it's the greatest film ever made, full of meaning, magic, and most importantly, zero regrets. And because I truly believe everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. So grab your popcorn, cue the music, and together, let's Movify your life. Hello, and welcome to the Movify Your Life show. I am your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, but you can call me Jess. I am Chief Movifier and Director of Movify Your Life. You can find out more at movifyyourlife.com if you have no idea what I'm talking about if you're new here. And today's episode is all about Derren Brown, and I've titled it, What Psychological Illusionist and Mentalist Derren Brown Taught Me About Living a Better Story. Now, I love Derren Brown. I love him. I love the way his mind works. I love his obvious passion for his career and subjects like human psychology and the power of the mind, which I'm really interested in as well. Plus his skills with his tricks, illusions, showmanship, the way he crafts his stage show. I watched an interview once and he said he basically comes up with the big climax moment. They're like, aha, oh my God, what the hell moment that he wants at the end of the show, and then works backwards and figures out how the hell he's going to do it when he has no idea at the start, which I kind of love. Like reverse engineering your life and reverse engineering the story is something I talk about a lot. But he's very charismatic and he's really funny. It does come across a bit in his TV shows, but if you ever gone and see him live on the stage, you'll know what I mean. He's just very naturally quick-witted with the audience. He's very funny and he really, really, really knows how to put on a show. And I also just love how creative he is and his team. I'm sure he has a big team helping him with stuff like this. Just how creative they all are and all the amazing things they've done over the years. TV shows, stage shows, specials, documentaries, everything they've produced basically over the years. I love it. And for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, he is quite big in the UK, but I still come across people who don't know anything about him. And I think he's famous in some countries, but not as much. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Derren, not Darren, Derren with an E, Brown is, according to the internet, I Googled it to give you a proper bio. He is a renowned English psychological illusionist, mentalist, and author. Famous for blending showmanship, magic, and psychology, he has captivated global audiences through his mind reading and behavioral manipulation acts. He started out doing normal magic things, I think, like card tricks and stuff like that. But then he really, really got into psychology and the nature of human nature, the way people think, the power of the mind, how the brain can be manipulated, or the mind can be manipulated, I guess. And he went on to create some of the most controversial TV shows in this area. And some people don't like him because they think he's the devil, but I love him. Even the bad, air quote, bad things he does to people, they are based in something deeper, and it's always, always, always to encourage the person to see life in a better way, look at it through a different lens, which is what I talk about all the time in Movify Your Life, and to better themselves. So it's very self-development-y, but it's hidden in lots of psychological illusions and great things like that. He also has written several books on magic and other things. I think he wrote one on happiness, one called Happy. He's also a painter. He does sort of caricature style paintings of famous people. He's a photographer. He has a photography book out, I think. And he's also an ambassador for at least one, maybe more, parrot charities. He loves parrots. And I've seen him many, many times over the years. I met him once as well. We went to Liverpool and we went to the stage door afterwards and met him, got him to sign our program and got photos of us meeting him. And it was just the best night. The stage show was incredible. And then meeting him was just the cherry on top. And I just love the way his mind works. And I'm only recording this episode now because I recently saw his most recent live stage show, Only Human, in Birmingham. And it got me thinking about all the amazing things he's done before and all the amazing shows I've seen of his and TV shows. And it occurred to me that some of my listeners may not have heard of him or know the extent of what he's done. And I think he's a fascinating person. He's done some fascinating things. And I just wanted to showcase them and talk a little bit about what I've learned from him and his shows. Personally, I've seen every one of his live UK stage shows with one exception. And it really annoys me that I missed one out one year. I'm not going to tell you anything that happens in Only Human, the new stage show, because he's still touring with it. And then I think it's going to the West End and everything's meant to be a secret. And there's always a delay between like the end of his run of live shows and it appearing on TV anyway. So I'm not going to ruin it for anyone. But I can tell you, as I said, some of the things I've learned from him and his crazy missions, shows, investigative things. I'm trying to think of the right word here. His sort of investigations really into the human mind. Really fascinating. I also follow him on social media and he mentioned a post a few days after we went to see him at the Birmingham Hippodrome that one of his shows got evacuated and 2 people refused to leave as they thought it was part of the show, which I found quite funny because you never know with him what is real, what's not, what's a joke, what's not, what's part of the show, what's not. So I found that quite funny. But yeah, so that seeing the show basically prompted me and some of my friends to go back and rewatch, well, for me, loads of his old stuff. If you're in the UK, it's all on 4 On Demand, Channel 4 On Demand. There's also stuff on YouTube, which I'll mention a bit later as well, if you are not in the UK. But I've been on a bit of a binge. In the grand scheme of things, I've hardly watched any of his stuff because he has a lot of things out there. He's been going for like 20 odd years. I rewatched some of the things I remember being the most controversial or my favourite things. And I'll mention those in a bit, but it's one of those things where you go and see the show with some of your friends or whoever, and then you just spend the next several hours just dissecting it and thinking, how on earth did he do that? And trying to figure it out and figuring out some things. And then other things being like, even if he did use plants or stooges or whatever, I like to think he doesn't a lot of the time. Like the actual people who go on stage, I think are actual people, I think. I mean, they're actual people, but actual non-stoogey people. I just love trying to figure out how he does it. But of course, if we knew everything, it wouldn't be as mysterious and wonderful, would it? But I really do love dissecting it with friends afterwards. And my friend Vicky had also seen the same show 2 weeks before in a different place. So I was messaging her madly afterwards and being like, did this match up with you? Did this happen in yours? Was this the same? Was this different? And it's just really fun trying to like pick it apart. Okay, so I rewatched The Apocalypse, which was a 2-part special, which is one of my favorites and also, I would say, the most controversial. Or maybe one of the most controversial things he's ever done. And I don't know how much detail to go into this because I don't want to spoil it for people if you are going to go and watch them for yourself. But basically, he usually does this thing where he puts, I don't think he's done a TV show like this for a while. He's stuck to stage shows the last few years, I think. But he used to do this thing where, he's very famous. He puts out an ad or whatever saying, we're filming a new Derren Brown TV show. We can't tell you what it's about. Do you want to take part? And people apply. And people apply knowing, obviously, who he is, the kind of shows he does, the kinds of things he does, knowing that it's going to be probably a bit weird and maybe scary, but, they're aware that it is something like that, and they apply. And for this one in particular, he wanted a person who was not very happy in life, who didn't appreciate life, didn't appreciate the people in his life. I think the person they found, he was either unemployed between jobs, something like that, had no motivation, lived at home with his parents, was really horrible to his parents, took everything for granted, was really lazy. And these were his own words as well. He was like being interviewed and he was like, I know I'm not doing anything with my life. So he wanted to find someone like that. So he could basically grab him, shake him by the shoulders and be like, wake up. This is your one life. As far as we know, you're wasting yours. And I want to show you that. But he does it in a very Derren Brown twisty way. Basically, he has this thing. He does like hypnotism and stuff. So he does a thing where he puts people to sleep. And I'm not sure how that works. But basically, he put this guy to sleep and woke him up in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. That's the short version. They went all out, basically. So he got his family involved. They put up hidden cameras all over the house they live in and outside and stuff and follow them around. And all his family and friends are in on it. But he doesn't know he's been chosen for the show. And basically for a whole month before this event, They hacked into his TV, his phone, all the usual news websites he goes on. He was like a big NASA fan who would go on there all the time. Planted fake news stories about an asteroid heading towards Earth that was probably going to collide. And all this technology was going haywire and stuff. They made his car break down. The mechanic told him it's because of the asteroid. And they, like an actor, obviously. And they planted all these news stories. The radio show he listened to, they did a fake interview with a scientist talking about the asteroid and everything. So this was like really real for him. He thought the whole world was knew about this asteroid. And yeah, basically they put him on a bus with a load of actors, drove him through a forest. Derren was in the back of the bus. They had these like light shows going on, explosions everywhere, basically pretending that the Earth had been hit. And then Derren popped out, put him to sleep. And when he woke up, he was in a 28 Days Later style hospital building, zombies everywhere. And they basically created this narrative where he had to be the hero of the story and take charge and look after this little girl, and just basically stripped him of everything, his parents, his friends, everything he took for granted, and made him become the person he needed to be to survive a zombie apocalypse. And it was amazing. They made sure he knew that his parents and brother were okay, that they were in a location far away. And the story was that he needed to get to that location to reunite with them. But also all these obstacles were put in the way. He had to help this little girl. And it was just incredible. The production value, and this was quite a while ago, and it looked very impressive by today's standards as well. And you can see why people think it's controversial, but he did sign up for it. He he knew the kind of thing he was getting into. He probably didn't know exactly what he was getting into. I do find it amazing that his family went along with this and they were like, yeah, okay, do that. That's fine. He rose to the challenge. He became this leader. He helped people. He realized how much he loved his family and couldn't wait to reunite with them. And at the end, there's this like big dramatic thing, and Derren puts him to sleep again, and he wakes up in his bed as if it was all a dream. And then he, I'm giving loads of spoilers away. I told you I wasn't going to give spoilers away, but it's really good. It's really worth watching. But yeah, he basically went downstairs and found his family there and was just so happy to see them. And then he went in the living room and Derren Brown was there and he was like, it wasn't a dream. But yeah, that basically was the catalyst he needed to change his life around. He got a job, I think he moved out. He stopped taking everything for granted, really showed appreciation to his parents and his brother and his friends and stuff like that. And it was just incredible, really. And a lot of these themes that you see in Apocalypse appear in other shows as well. A lot of it is about people either not doing anything with their life or they feel stuck and they don't know what to do, or they're not motivated, they're not ambitious, they're not driven to do anything. And it's basically Derren reminding them that this is their one precious life on Earth and they're wasting it. And they need a bit of a kick up the ass to get going. I mean, this was extreme, the whole zombie apocalypse thing, but it worked. So I rewatched that, really enjoyed it. I rewatched Hero at 30,000 Feet, where another controversial one where they get a similar guy, very anxious and not doing much with his life, and get him to be a hero when the plane he's on, he believes, is crashing and he has to land it. And he's also terrified of flying as well, to boot. So that was really good as well. Like, these are really feel-good ones at the end. I cried at the end of Hero at 30,000 Feet because it was just so lovely. The Secret of Luck, which was a special, which was one of my favourites. One I probably recommend you start with if you don't know anything about Derren Brown, because it's not too controversial, it's not too crazy or air quotes evil, but it is all about human psychology and how we make our own luck. And I might talk a bit more about that in a bit. I'll see how long I'm rambling on for. I could ramble on about Derren Brown for ages, honestly. I love it.
Okay, movie star, real talk. Are you tired of feeling like a background extra in your own life? Then it's time to step into the spotlight and activate your main character era. And I've got just the thing to help you do it. Grab my free Movie Star Alter Ego Starter Kit, your behind-the-scenes pass to creating the bold, brave, action-taking version of you who goes after their dreams like the star of a blockbuster. Inside, you'll discover how to design your alter ego, choose your transformational item, pick your theme song, and build the rituals and confidence cues you need to start living your life like the epic movie it was meant to be. So, if you're ready to rewrite your script, roll camera, and finally take the lead, head to movifyyourlife.com/free to download your free starter kit now. That's movifyyourlife.com/free. Your next scene starts today. And now, let's get back to the action.
But The Secret of Luck is a very good one to watch. Miracle, the stage show, Trick or Treat, series. That's a really good one as well. Some controversial bits in there. People either get a trick or a treat. Trick of the Mind. There's loads I didn't rewatch, but I do want to rewatch again. So some of the specials were Seance. He made everyone believe they were at an actual seance. Russian Roulette Live, exactly what it sounds like. He was playing Russian Roulette live with a gun and a dude who was helping him, who was shitting himself the entire time because he thought he was going to kill a national treasure. But then there's The Assassin, where Derren Brown basically hypnotizes people to kill a national treasure. I think it was Stephen Fry, seeing if he could get them to do it. So you could see how controversial. Again, The Heist as well. Can he get law-abiding citizens by planting things in their mind and things to make them rob a bank? I think it was. There's a great art robbery, similar. Push to the Edge was all about, can you get someone to push someone off a building? I'm laughing. I know it's not funny, but it's not a shallow thing or just for shock value. There was always an underlying serious message and things that we can learn from his experiments. So it's not just for entertainment. It makes you think. It really makes you think. Mind Control is a series. Stage shows, Miracle that I mentioned, Showman, Svengali, Evening of Wonders, Something Wicked This Way Comes, Enigma. Enigma is one of my favourite ones. I remember seeing that live and it finished and everyone was just so like, oh my God, that was incredible. How did he do that? And also just is a very happy one. Ends very happily. So yeah, there are a lot of messages about life, as I said in here, how lucky we are to be here, the stories we tell ourselves, the power of words and suggestion. The present is the only moment we have. He wants to make you look at life in a different, more positive way, which is exactly what Movify Your Life is all about. Let me just talk about the secret of look a little bit, because it is one of my favourites. He basically started a rumour. He got a TV presenter, Dawn Porter, although I think she's Dawn O. Porter now. She married Chris O'Dowd and added the O, the Irish O. He got her to go to Todmorden, this town in England, or is it a village? I'm not sure, and spread a rumour. So there was already a dog statue in the park, and she basically just went around asking people with a TV crew, as if she was doing a documentary, have you heard about the lucky dog? And this rumour spread over the several months to the point where everyone was going and rubbing the dog's head for luck, and then either getting lucky, having lucky things happen to them, or attributing good things that happened to them to the dog. So the rumour grew and grew and grew. And then at the end, Derren Brown came and said, oh, it was me all along. I started the rumour, but actually in doing so, they kind of created their own lucky dog, because people psychologically would rub the dog and then go and do something that could end in a lucky result. They would play the lottery more, or the local bingo or whatever more. They would open themselves up to more opportunities. They would try new things because they thought, hey, I'm going to be lucky because I rubbed the lucky dog. So they did more stuff and therefore had more positive outcomes. So they did create their own luck. And there was one guy who was self-confessed unluckiest guy in the world, basically. And they did several sort of experiments with him, tried to put really good positive opportunities in his way, and he just didn't see them at all. They'd put like a 20 quid note on the floor right in front of him and he just walked past it. They did all this stuff, and at the end they showed him like you closed yourself off to opportunity, to luck. That's why you're not lucky. And in the end he ends up betting his life savings on the roll of a dice because this whole lucky dog thing had opened his eyes to how he viewed the world, basically, and how he was stopping himself from being, air quotes, lucky. And you can replace the word lucky with positive or fortunate or anything like that. It's kind of the same thing. I won't tell you what happened when he bet his life savings on the roll of a dice. You'll have to watch to find that out. But that is one of my favourite episodes. It really makes you think. And one of the things I've always loved about Derren Brown is that, I mean, his work it's not about magic. Although part of me believes he is actually a wizard and all this psychological stuff is like a cover story for him actually being magic. Who knows? Everything is like fascinating that he does. But the older I've got, the more I've realised that the tricks themselves aren't actually the thing that interests me the most. What interests me, as I've said, are the messages beneath them. Because Derren is constantly talking about life, about human psychology, the stories we tell ourselves, the beliefs that shape our reality, and how much of our experience is influenced by what we focus on. The people who focused on the lucky dog and believed they were going to be lucky were lucky. The people who didn't believe it, thought they were the unluckiest people in the world, were unlucky. So I find that stuff fascinating. And I love how he sort of chooses people who are stuck in some way, because those are the kind of people I think of when I'm creating content for Movify Your Life. It was my past self when I was stuck, didn't know what to do, didn't know what I wanted out of life. Maybe they've lost direction, they're unhappy, they've stopped dreaming, maybe they're convinced they're unlucky. and they're just sort of drifting through life and letting things happen to them instead of going out there and making amazing things happen. Maybe they're working jobs they hate or unemployed, or they've just stopped appreciating what they already have. And watching all these again, it made me realize just how many sort of parallels there are between what Derren does and Movify Your Life. It's all about looking at life through different perspective. I use movies and inspiration from the magic of the movies to help you do that. He uses things like zombie apocalypses and lucky dogs and having to land a plane. It's basically, he's like holding up a mirror to you and your life and saying, look again. He does all this stuff and then he's like, now what do you see? And I love that because so much of personal development is really about perspective and the way we look at things. I also just want to mention one of the trick or treat episodes because a similar thing, he does a similar thing in Only Human, but I'm not going to talk about that, as I said. Not the exact same thing, but similar vibes. So yeah, trick or treat, the people choose either a trick or a treat. And in the first season, at least, the card has trick or treat written on it, but I can't remember the name of the thing, but when you turn it upside down, it says the other word. So he can get them to choose what he wants, basically. I think in the second season, he ditches that and they actually do choose trick or treat. But anyway, so there's one woman, she knew she was going on the show. I think this was season 1, so she may not have known exactly what was happening. When people applied for season 2, they knew what they were getting into, either a trick or treat. She chose trick and they followed her around for like a month with hidden camera in a car and stuff. They say to like figure out what they could do for a trick because he always wants a trick to have a meaning behind it and to have a reason for it. It's not just, we're going to make you feel like crap for no reason. So he saw through her car that the car camera that she was driving really haphazardly. She hardly ever touched the steering wheel. She would just drive along while doing other stuff like putting on makeup and holding things and just not really paying attention and being very casual about it. So he decided to help her out by making her think she had died in a car crash. Yeah. I watched this and I was thinking, I don't know if he'd get away with this these days. Like, I'm not sure how long ago it was, but it was long ago enough that no one seemed to bat an eyelid at this. Maybe they did, but it's pretty interesting. They even made her go for a free facial or something, free massage, and got a guy, like a sci-fi special effects guy from the movies to come and do a death mask of her face, telling her it was this like new hard face mask. They told her to turn up to a photo shoot wearing certain clothes. And it was on the way to that photo shoot that Derren phoned her, put her to sleep like he does over the phone. And she woke up and essentially saw herself in the car with the death mask, same hair, same clothes, like a body dead in the car. And everyone there was actors or the other guy in the car who she crashed into him, supposedly. The ambulance people that came, the police, they were all actors and they were told to ignore her. So she was there standing there going, oh my God, and trying to talk to people, and they were all ignoring her. So it was like an out-of-body experience. I think the idea was that she hadn't actually died. I take it back. She hadn't actually died. It was an out-of-body experience. They were taking her to hospital to revive her. So it wasn't as dark, but still pretty bad. But hey, after that, she was a very careful driver. There's always a point to it. But that was one of the particularly bad / evil ones that people think about. But again, if you had that experience and then you realized it was just Derren Brown messing with you, you would drive more carefully, obviously, but also maybe you'd have a new lease for life. It would be a wake-up call for sure. And that's what he kind of specializes in his TV shows and things like that. So when I step back and look at everything Derren Brown has created over the years, I think the biggest lesson is that many of the things we think are fixed aren't fixed at all. Our beliefs can change, our confidence can change, the way we see the world and ourselves can change, our habits can change, our perspective can change, even our look can change. And when those things change, our lives often change with them. And maybe that's why I've always connected so strongly with his work, because beneath all the tricks and the mind games and the illusions is a hopeful message, because you're probably not as stuck as you think you are. And the next chapter of your story or the next act of your movie could be very different from the last one if you're willing to step back and see things differently. And that's what I love about it. Now, I'd like to give you some homework, a mini Movify mission, especially if you've never seen Derren Brown before, or even if you have. I highly encourage you to head online and watch some of his stuff. Like I say, if you're in the UK, they're pretty much all, I think, on Channel 4's on-demand 4OD thingy. If not, head to YouTube. Showman is definitely on there. I saw that live. It was just after COVID, I think. And that one is definitely all about life. And it made me cry in a good way. So highly recommend Showman. Secret of Look, which I mentioned, one of my favorites, is on there. the zombie apocalypse one, just called The Apocalypse. Derren Brown's The Apocalypse, I think, 2 parts, is on there. Loads of his stage shows. And I want you to watch one or a few of them and yes, enjoy it and be entertained. But I also want you to do some thinking about it afterwards. So journal, meditate, ponder, talk with other people if you watch it with other people, and see what kind of themes and messages about life and how to live life and how you can live your life differently have come out of the thing you just watched. It's just so fascinating to me. And I love how he can make you look at the world a new light. And he does it in a very entertaining, funny, charismatic, witty way as well. And if you do that, I'd love to hear what you think, especially if you've never seen him before. You can DM me on Instagram at Movify Your Life. Please follow me there too. Or you can email me at action@movifyyourlife.com. And yeah, thank you for listening. Please share this episode with anyone you think might find it interesting. If they're into it all, anything like magic, illusions, all that good stuff, let them know. And until next Movify Monday, I will see you on the red carpet.
Thank you so much for listening to the Movify Your Life show. Before you go, don't forget to sign up for the main character memo mailing list at movifyyourlife.com/list for exclusive tips, treats, and behind the scenes magic. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a friend. Let's spread that Movify message far and wide because everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. I'll see you next week for another Movify Monday. Until then, that's a wrap.